Why do businesses get surprised by results of their choices? What if I told you that those surprises often come from misreading market signals, not bad intentions or bad effort? Let's discuss what market prices really tell you, how equilibrium actually works, and why resource markets matter as much as the market where you sell. Consider a scenario where a retailer cut prices but saw little change in their sales, or a situation where a manufacturer increased prices only marginally but lost a significant number of customers. Visualize a small business that uses a simple cost-plus margin pricing, losing customers to a rival who charges far more. All of these choices were made based on what the decision-maker presumed was a reasonable expectation, but their outcomes were completely unexpected. Let's understand one thing. Markets do not reward what sounds reasonable in advance. They respond to a combination of the forces of demand and supply, and the value that buyers place on what is offered. A market is a continuous negotiation between buyers who want to pay less and sellers who want to earn more. The resulting price is not random. It carries information about what the market values, how scarce something is, and where conditions may be heading. Price is not just a number on a tag, but a beacon from the market. The real question is not whether markets are speaking, but whether you are reading what they are saying. Market equilibrium is the point where quantity demanded equals quantity supplied at a particular price. That equilibrium price is called the market clearing price. This implies that there is no surplus or shortage of the good in the market at that price. It is crucial to remember that no surplus and no shortage do not mean that everyone got what they wanted. Some buyers refuse to buy at that price, and some sellers refuse to sell. Yet the market still clears, because in economics, shortage is not the same thing as scarcity, and surplus is not the same thing as abundance. In most markets, no single buyer or seller can move the whole market alone. But there are some important exceptions, such as an exclusive producer of a life-saving drug, or a single major employer in a small town. Those players may have unusual power over price or wages, but they still have limits. In a market, unaffordable goods may go unpurchased, and workers could choose another employer or location. Both buyers and sellers of either products or resources can always choose to quit the market entirely. A common fallacy is the idea that markets are always moving neatly toward equilibrium. Demand and supply pressures do lean toward balance, but only if all other non-price factors stay constant, and in the real world, they rarely do. Substitute goods, complementary goods, changing awareness, and changing costs keep shifting the demand and supply curves. So, the equilibrium point itself can shift, while the balancing pressure from the other side remains. A crop failure can shrink the supply of corn. Those who want to buy corn would have to be willing to pay the higher equilibrium price for it. That does not indicate a shortage of corn in the market, but rather an unavailability of corn at the lower price some customers were willing to pay. Willingness to sell and willingness to buy are both equally important indicators of the equilibrium price. And sometimes, this settling of the market price can be very noisy. One of the strengths of free markets is that they correct themselves through independent choices. Buyers and sellers each act in their own interest, and the market adjusts without central management. When that process is blocked by price controls, quantity restrictions, or other distortions, the pressure does not disappear. It builds up, and can create larger disruptions later, when adjustment finally happens. But these market forces don't just happen where you sell your product. They are also happening behind the scenes, in the markets where you buy your resources. Businesses often watch revenue markets closely, but ignore the markets that shape their costs. Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship each have their own price signals, and those signals affect hiring, financing, sourcing, and investment decisions. If you only watch the market where you sell, you miss half the story that drives business performance. The central message is simple but powerful. Markets are constantly telling you something. Prices, shortages, surpluses, wages, financing costs, and supply shocks all carry information about the economy around your business. The practical next step is not a formula, but a habit of interpretation. When you read these signals clearly, fewer outcomes feel surprising, and smarter decisions become easier to make. If you like learning about economics in an easy-to-apply manner, Don't forget to get your copy of Invisible Hand, Visible Profit, The Simple Science Behind Smart Decisions as an ebook, paperback, or audiobook on Amazon, Apple Books, Google Play, Spotify, and other platforms.